Yo! Welcome to Containing Luxury. On today's episode, we're actually going to cover why I think that a 3-container home is the most economical for using containers. Let's get started. Okay, so why are 3 containers the most economical in my mind? First, disclaimer. 3 containers, I'm talking about when we are butting them up. So say you're making a structure and you're just building a square. If you start, jutting some out or going up, okay, we're talking about something completely different. I'm just talking about if we're trying to maximize the amount of square footage, we're staying 1 story and we're putting a bunch of containers together to create virtually the biggest rectangle that we can create. So that's where 3 containers is my limit, and this is why. So if we go to 3 containers, I've now kept 3 walls, 3 exterior walls of the 2 end containers. In my middle container, I'm only keeping the 2 exterior ends. So that's a ton of steel to have to cut out and then grind down to make smooth where they butt together. That is only if we're trying to build a house that you want rooms bigger than 8 foot wide. So if you want to try and have like a big living room, then you're cutting out all that stuff. If you're maintaining a lot of those walls and you're just butting them up and you're putting together single container units, okay, well then we're talking something different again. So we're talking single family home and we want to have bigger than 8 foot wide spaces, which requires cutting apart the middle container. If I'm using shipping containers, I don't mind doing it on the middle one because it allows me to use a stem wall and not a slab foundation. Now, if I do 4 containers, I've now cut out all of that steel on the 2 middle ones, and it may not mathematically start to make sense. Once I add up the cost of the containers and all of that cutting out of the steel, and then I'm building a roofing structure anyway, and then I'm putting in structural supports because you can't just cut out the entire side of a container and not reinforce it somewhere. It's not designed. That everyone that says online that you can cut out an entire side of a container that only the 4 corners are structural, incorrect. Every part of that corrugated steel is factored into the engineering and the design of that shipping container. So if you cut out an entire wall, you need to put in a high strength steel column, might be only a 3x3. That 3x3 high strength steel column, even if you're not putting any load on the roof, you still got to support that long top rail. You can't really see it here because we covered ours, but that long top rail is really small. It's only like a 3x3, square high strength steel tube. So, or not tube, dimensional, 3x3, either way. So, but that whole run, 40 feet long, is not meant to be able to sustain itself. It would need to be an I-beam or something to be 40 feet long with nothing there. Real quick, guys, remember, link in the description for Blackout Coffee, our new sponsor. They're making all these videos available to you. So if you like watching them and you like coffee, make sure to hit the link in the description, use the coupon code, and get yourself some gifts for Christmas, because I'm gonna wait till the last minute. When I go into 4, I'm now looking at a structure that when I break down my construction costs of that, I can now say, well, I could probably pour a foundation for X amount of dollars, and concrete block is super cheap. So I now have gotten into the realm of, I can probably build a conventional house for the same price range of similar square footage with open spaces. So there's a lot of variables in that where somebody might have a 4 container design, but they're maintaining a lot of those interior walls. Okay, that might make sense. But a lot of the designs I've seen where you got to open up like 3 containers to make a wide open area, you start getting into so much steel being cut out, so much additional steel being added in and structural supports that it no longer makes sense to me, where I'm like, okay, I'd rather not be limited by the 8 foot dimensions and go into having standard construction, because I now can build rooms any size I want because only the 4 walls are load bearing and I've got trusses built. So it gets into a realm where you really got to add up your construction, and 3 containers for me is like my max square footage, where I'm like, I could just go build it the standard way. The variable to that is, if you're going up, elevating structures up into the air is super expensive, especially in hurricane zones like where we are. So that's where shipping containers really make sense. And if I've got, you know, 4 containers side by side on the ground, and then my next level, they're directly on top of it, so they're sitting on those big, you know, 6 by 6 high strength steel columns on the outside, well, then I can go like 8 tall, and it really starts to make sense, because that type of construction in standard construction is gonna be super expensive. So going up, they make a lot more sense. One level structures going more than 4 containers, I can probably build it for the exact same price with typical construction. If you're designing and you have any questions, hit the comments below. You know, we look to our community to chime in as well. So make sure, you know, if I'm not able to answer a question, there's somebody else that's watching our channel that's come across this problem or you know, conquered that issue or can answer those questions. Feel free to chime in and answer them, and you know, and I'll chime in whenever I can as well. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll catch you guys later.